Well, hello there, football fans. Today we're diving into a hypothetical scenario that might just leave you scratching your heads. Imagine a Premier League without the so-called Big Six. Yes, you heard that right. No Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham or Manchester City. They've gone off on their own top-secret mission to form a Super League. Now, before you start throwing teacups at the telly or smashing your phone, let's take a deep breath and explore what this seismic shift could mean for the rest of the Premier League. The Big Six leaving would create a massive power vacuum, leaving room for new challengers to step up and stake their claim for glory. We would likely see some fresh faces lifting the coveted Premier League trophy. But with 6 spots up for grabs, maybe teams would need to be selected rather than promoted to the competition in order to maintain television revenues, generate sponsorship deals, and fashion top-flight rivalries. So, without further ado, let's delve into the contenders vying for a place in this reimagined Premier League. We'll be analysing their history, their fan base, and their overall potential to thrive in a top-flight world without the traditional giants. Get ready for some surprises, folks, because this is where it gets really interesting. First up, and perhaps the obvious choice, we've got Leeds United. Now, Leeds is a club steeped in history, with a trophy cabinet that most teams would be proud of. They've got 3 First Division titles, an FA Cup, a League Cup, and even 2 Intercities Fairs Cups to their name. They've also got one of the most passionate fan bases in the country, as anyone who's witnessed a match at Elland Road can attest. But it's not just about history and passion with Leeds. They've also got the financial muscle to compete at the highest level. Their return to the Premier League a couple of seasons back saw them rake in a tidy sum in TV revenue, and they've been smart with their spending, bringing in some quality players. With their attacking brand of football and that unwavering support from the stands, Leeds United would be a force to be reckoned with in this new-look Premier League. They've got the history, the passion and the financial clout to make a real go of it. Next up, we travel to the northeast and the Stadium of Light, the home of Sunderland AFC. Now, Sunderland might have been bouncing between the Championship and League One in recent years, but let's not forget their 6 top-flight titles, albeit the last one was back in 1936 before the Premier League era. But hey, history counts for something, right? One thing Sunderland brings to the table is a proper, passionate derby. The Tyne-Wear derby against Newcastle United is always a feisty affair, and it would bring an extra level of spice to the Premier League. Imagine the storylines, the tension, the sheer noise in the stadiums. Now they might need to splash some cash to build a squad capable of competing at the top level, but with the right investment and a bit of that famous Sunderland spirit, who knows what they could achieve. The Black Cats would be a solid choice in this scenario. Now let's head down to the Midlands, to the heart of England, where we find Birmingham City. Birmingham might not have the same glittering trophy cabinet as some of the other teams on this list, but they do have one thing that many others crave: a fiercely contested local derby. The second city derby against Aston Villa is always a spectacle, and it would add another layer of intrigue to the Premier League landscape. But it's not just about local bragging rights with Birmingham City. They are a well-run club with a sensible financial structure. They've also got a history of developing young talent, and they would relish the opportunity to test themselves against the best in the country. With the right additions to their squad and a bit of that Birmingham grit, they could well establish themselves as a Premier League force to be reckoned with. And who knows, they might even bring home some silverware to St Andrews. For our next contender, we travel back up north to Lancashire. The North West would be losing 3 massive clubs, so would need a Premier League replacement of some pedigree. So, we find ourselves at the home of Blackburn Rovers. Now, Blackburn might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you can't deny their Premier League history. They were crowned champions back in 1995, breaking the Manchester United dominance of the early Premier League years, which was no mean feat. They've also got a loyal fan base who would create a cracking atmosphere if they could fill Ewood Park again. And they've shown in the past that they can mix it with the best. They might need to rediscover that fighting spirit that saw them lift the Premier League trophy, but stranger things have happened in football. With the right manager and a bit of investment, Blackburn Rovers could once again become a force to be reckoned with in English football. They've done it before, and who's to say they couldn't do it again? After all, they are one of a few teams to have won all domestic honours. Next, we head across the border to Wales, the land of song, to meet Wrexham. Now, Wrexham might seem like an outlier here, historically plying their trade in the lower leagues, but they've got a couple of things going for them. Firstly, they've got Hollywood stardust sprinkled all over them, thanks to their high-profile owners, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. Their takeover has brought unprecedented attention to the club, and they've got the ambition to match. Secondly, Wrexham would bring a much-needed Welsh presence to the Premier League. With Gareth Bale hanging up his boots, Welsh football needs a new hook to pin itself on. And what better stage than the Premier League? Sure, they've got a long way to go, but with Reynolds and McElhenney's backing and the whole of Wales behind them, don't rule out a fairy tale rise to the top for the Red Dragons. Finally, we journey back to the Midlands, to the oldest professional football club in the world, Notts County. Now, Notts County might also be languishing in the lower leagues right now, but their history and heritage are undeniable. They were one of the founding members of the Football League back in 1888, and they've got a loyal fan base who would love nothing more than to see their beloved Magpies back in the big time. And let's not forget about the potential for a fiery Nottingham derby against Nottingham Forest. Those matches would be absolute crackers, full of passion, history, and maybe even a few goals. Of course, they've got a mountain to climb to reach the levels required for the Premier League, but with the right investment and a bit of luck, who knows? Stranger things have happened in the beautiful game. Remember Leicester City? So, there you have it, folks. 6 teams vying for a place in our hypothetical Premier League without the Big Six. It's a controversial list, I know, and there are plenty of other teams out there with a legitimate claim to be included. Derby County would be itching to renew their rivalries with Forest, Leeds and Leicester, while Millwall would bring their own unique brand of entertainment to matches against the likes of Crystal Palace, Everton, Leeds and West Ham. Ultimately, it's all just a bit of fun, a thought experiment to see what might happen if the Premier League landscape were to undergo a radical transformation. But it does make you think, doesn't it? Let me know in the comments below who you think deserves to be in this new-look Premier League and why. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Football Sphere for more footballing debates, analysis, and all-around shenanigans.